when you're from this village, it's kind of part of you really, playing rugby, and there's not much else going on here, so yeah, you kind of pick a rugby ball up while you're picking your dummy up.
Tipuric to his left. What a start to the half from Wales. That is outstanding. Justin Tipuric.
Younger in my career, a lot of people would say you can't do it, you're too slow, too fat, too small. That was the biggest one I had. I was too small to be a back rower.
Justin Tipuric, one of the finest footballing back row forwards in the world.
So into Tipuric, oh he's so quick, and he has support now. Looks for support out wide, Parks finds it in Tipuric, and there it is.
Started with Jerry Collins in the back row, and that was pretty special, and still to this day I remember him saying before the game that basically, I got your back, you go out there and just do your thing, and he made me basically have wings coming up my back, feeling like I could be untouchable. And yeah, it was one of those special games where we come out on top and actually ended up winning the Six Nations in front of the Welsh crowd against England, which is something that you dream of as a kid again. Even to this day, you know, you think of that South Africa game, and like, if you did that one thing different, you just wish that something could have been a little bit different, where we could have got to that final. My grandfather was Croatian, and yeah, he came over here after the war, basically, or while the war was going on type thing. He ended up staying here in Trebanos of all places, funny enough. And yeah, him and my nan used to literally live up the road, basically, and yeah, ended up settling down here. And Dad was even born in the house here in Trebanos. Back then, obviously, there wasn't much hospital visits going on, so yeah, there's from that side of it. And yeah, even been lucky enough now to have gone back to Croatia and met some family over there as well, which was pretty special. For a number of years, we'd been trying to get in contact with them, but never could. And I think it was 2019, I think it actually happened, that we actually went back, and me and my dad went over and actually went back and met my grandfather's brother, which was nice, and his family and that side of it. And yeah, when you don't realise that, probably you look at it now, you look back and how hard it was for my grandfather to even get over here and survive, really. So yeah, I feel when you look back at it that way, what he had to go through and the life he's given us basically as well, is pretty lucky.
So what was your upbringing like growing up in Wales?
Yeah, I was brought up basically in Trebanos with an elder sister, two brothers. So yeah, it was a busy old household. But yeah, I was quite mad for sports. Used to play all different sports. So parents used to drive me around, taking me to sports, and had lots of friends. Well, had a few friends around here, and yeah, just probably pretty outdoor. Not really so much into PlayStations and stuff back then.
What are your roots with Trebanos Rugby Club?
Probably start off, if you go back, my dad was a player here, and yeah, one year he captained the club, and that's his big honour. He tells me even to this day that I'll never be as good as him. But yeah, and it's I literally live right next to the rugby pitch, so as a family home, used to just go there and probably spend most of my time there really growing up, whether it was in the park or playing with rugby on the field. So it's kind of one of them. I was brought up next to the rugby pitch, so it was only one thing I wanted to kind of do, was to play rugby.
Do you remember your earliest memories of rugby?
Yeah, probably just playing in the garden with my brothers and I'm going to kick around with them, or playing with my friends. Even I think sometimes we'd be on rollerblades and what have you, and still trying to play rugby and trying to do kicks on rollerblades and that side of it. But yeah, it was one of them. Obviously, when you're a kid, when you're from this village, it's kind of part of you really, playing rugby, and there's not much else going on here. So yeah, you kind of pick a rugby ball up while you're picking your dummy up.
What players did you idolise as a kid?
There's a couple, obviously. When I first started going to watch rugby games, I used to go watch Swansea RFC, and it was mainly because there's Trebanos players playing for Swansea, whether it was Rod Jones or Arwell Thomas. My dad used to take me down to the games and support them basically just because they were from Trebanos. So growing up would be probably anyone playing then, and as you go through your career, obviously John Lumo was a big one. He'd probably the first superstar that everyone kind of knew of, just the size of him, and having a game named after you, basically a PlayStation game named after you, so everyone used to go on about that. And then as going on, I kind of used to like Richard Hill, and even like obviously he was English. I just used to like the way he used to go about his work when he used to watch him play rugby. He just used to do all the donkey work and not really get too much praise for it. And obviously Martin Williams as well used to kind of like being Welsh as well, the way he used to play his game of rugby and that side of it as well. So yeah, it was a couple when you're growing up. There's a couple that you always keep your eye on and who you kind of watched when games were happening.
Do you remember when you started playing at Trebanos RFC? I
did, yeah. I actually wanted to play when all my friends started under 8s, but for some reason my dad had in his head, he was like, no, because it was touch rugby at under 8s, he was like, no, you're not playing touch rugby. He said I wasn't allowed to play till under 9s, till the contact started and the tackling started. So yeah, I had to wait a year and play under 9s basically, and start off playing under 9s with Trebanos and straight into tackling.
Was it meant for you to represent your local teams?
Yeah, it was massive for me. As a kid, it was like one of them. Every Saturday you go watch the firsts, and you just wanted to play for Trebanos first, really. And then as you get older, you want to probably see Wales on the TV, and you see regional rugby, and then that's when you start, aiming and dreaming how you could probably go a bit bigger. But obviously, it was meant. Some of my best rugby was playing for my local teams. I look back at it, and some of the best memories is when I played for Trebanos, whether it was juniors or youth rugby.
Where did the blue cap come about?
A bit of a story to it. It first happened, I think I was having a few cuts and a few, my ears are like getting cauliflower ears, starting to like rub a bit. So my mother was like, right, you have to wear a head guard type thing, and yeah, I started off wearing a head guard, and I think the first one was like black and red maybe, and it didn't quite last long. So then we went again, everyone, and she was like, it didn't quite go with the kit type thing as your mothers do. So then she was like, we got to get one to match the Trebanos kit. And then it happened there. We had the blue one, and the blue one lasted for years and years, basically. I remember even going through youth rugby with it and playing senior rugby with it as well. And yeah, ever since then I've had the blue one because it matched the Trebanos kit when I was younger, basically. So yeah.
What was it like playing for Aberavon and developing through that pathway?
Amazing, yeah. It was a big part of my development and being part of that club as well. It's a special club. It's, how can I say, it's a proper family club, and you learn so much off the senior players and the players around you as well then. And just, yeah, even now we still speak to people from Aberavon, that club, and they're such good people, and yeah, they learned so much in my 3 years there. And yeah, it was a big step in the right direction for me in the future. And even now you go back to try watch the odd game there and see a few familiar faces. What
was the Wales under-20s like when you were in it?
Yeah, good for me, to be fair. The first year was when the World Cup was in Wales, and we had a pretty special team, to be fair. Sam Warburton was in there, Josh Turnbull was in there, Rhys Webb, Dan Bigger, Gareth Owen, Lee Halfpenny, many more. It was John Davis. Yeah, it was a good few in there. We had a pretty special team. We probably should have done a little bit better than we actually did, and we did pretty all right, to be fair. And yeah, some good memories there. Some players who have gone on and earned international caps. It's crazy how many players went on to earn international caps in that year. And then the year after was pretty good as well. We went to Japan, and that was the first experience in Japan. And as a young kid, over in Japan was outstanding experience. We didn't quite do as well as the year before, but yeah, I learned so much, and you start to get that first experience of what professional rugby player is like, and the crowds and the environment and what it takes to make that level. When I first went into the 20s, I was like around about 110 kgs, and that's like 10 kgs like what I am now, basically. And it was, I used to probably play a totally different type of game. I was a bit chubbier and things back then, and yeah, I kind of adapted my game the second year, and then going into the sevens, then, which kind of helped me think a bit quicker on my feet to move around a bit better then.
What happened next after Wales under 20s for you?
I was obviously in and around the Ospreys, and there was so much obviously quality talent there that you can't really go straight into first team rugby. So obviously I was still with Arbravon and a little bit on the sevens circuit as well. I did the full year in the sevens circuit, and yeah, for me again, that was amazing. The things that you've learned rugby-wise, as well as being a person and travelling the world, and that side of it was just something that I needed. And just even on the rugby field, trying to defend so many fast players in so much space, it makes you feel so uncomfortable. But then going back to playing the 15s game then the week after, it's crazy how much easier it feels like when you got to defend someone in 5 yards. But yeah, I learned so much, whether it was skills-wise or even defensively, playing sevens rugby.
What made you choose the Ospreys?
I always supported them, and they were always would have been the Ospreys, to be fair. I didn't probably come into the system till quite a bit older. I was 17 going on 18. Just came in, I think it was the end of the under-18 season, and managed to actually play for Wales under-18s that year as well. But again, it was more, it was kind of a challenge. It was a bit smaller than everyone else and coming in a bit later, so kind of had to work extra hard just to come into the system, really. But yeah, it was one of them. I came in same time as some good characters as well, and yeah, we had a good group in the Ospreys Academy.
What was the club like when you first started there?
Full of unbelievable players that, yeah, as a kid growing up, obviously just looking in that change room with so many superstars / unreal world-class talent. It was one of them. Every day you try and watch and learn, and you knew you'd pick something new up every day from seeing the quality around you.
How long was it before you made your debut for the Ospreys?
Yeah, it was a good few years until I obviously came in. I think it was 19, 20 maybe. And yeah, it was when, I think it was back then, the LV Cup was going on, so all the internationals were away, and I had a little taste of it that way. And yeah, I got to make my debut coming off the bench, and I think Filotia came off a Filotia, and yeah, that was pretty special. Obviously, someone coming on for him, and yeah, and then obviously the week after, then started with Jerry Collins in the back row, and that was pretty special. And still to this day, I remember him saying before the game that basically, I got your back, you go out there and just do your thing. And he made me basically have wings coming up my back, feeling like I could be untouchable. So yeah, some of the things he'd say to you and just the way he looked after you on the field, then it was a pretty special moment for me as well. When
did you feel you had established yourself for the Ospreys?
Still don't know, to be fair. No, I don't think I don't ever think you established yourself. I still feel pretty honoured to be putting the jersey on now. Yeah, and sometimes you have to pinch yourself probably how long you've been there and how many years that you've played there. But yeah, it's still always special to put that jersey on, whether it's for the first time or the 200th time, to be fair. And yeah, you feel lucky enough to have done it, really.
Do you have a favourite moment in an Ospreys jersey?
Yeah, definitely winning the league. It was a pretty special season. Steve Tandy came in halfway through the season because we weren't doing too well. Everyone had written us off, and I think we were like below mid-table, near the bottom. And somehow we got on a bit of a run, won a few games, and got to play Leinster in the final away in Leinster. Everyone wrote us off again and come away with a win, and yeah, it was a pretty special day to beat Leinster in their own patch, and especially when you look at the season we had. We had a change of coaches and everyone had written us off from the word go, and to come back and win the league that year was a pretty special feeling. 200
caps, how does that feel?
Yeah, it's gone quick, to be fair, and yeah, like I said, just feel lucky enough to win it once really, but 200 times, and managed to try and stay fit in that time and play with some unreal players and unreal coaches at the club. Is go back and think how many players you've actually played with and how much quality they had. I just feel very lucky to have played with all those players and the number of coaches that have been there as well.
Why have you stayed at the Ospreys for your entire professional career?
I've enjoyed it. I feel like it's probably my club, and I guess yeah, it's just been a big part of my life, and yeah, it's been special to be there. There's some really good people behind the scenes that you don't see week in, week out that make the place very special, and yeah, and that's a big part of the Ospreys really. And it's one of them. Obviously, you supported them as a kid. The fans are great to you along the way, support you through thick and thin. Yeah, and it's just been one of them, I guess. You do have options when you come out of contract and thing, and it's always been one of them that kind of stayed and wanted to make myself better and keep progressing with the Ospreys.
How did you find out you were first going to be capped for Wales?
Well, it was World Cup camps it was, and obviously had an email to say I was going to be part of the World Cup camps. And yeah, some grueling sessions that we did, and managed to stay in it long enough to get to the warm-up games. And then obviously they named the team on the Tuesday, and lucky enough to be part of that team to play against Argentina in 2011, and yeah, it was a special moment. Yeah, a bit unreal, obviously, when it's all happening. But then later on, when you sit back and you actually realise that one of your dreams has come true, was a special moment to put on that Welsh jersey.
What were you like during the build-up to that game?
Yeah, probably all business. You're just thinking about, doing your things right for the team and just concentrating on it. And obviously when you get a bit closer to the game and you're singing the national anthem and you see your family in the crowd, it probably becomes a bit more real and, yeah, a bit more, how can you say, a bit more like this dream's happening, and but still you got to think about the game, because the last thing you want to do is make it a bad day and never play for Wales again if you don't represent it well in that jersey.
Do you remember your first Six Nations game?
I do, yeah. It was obviously the year after, and yeah, luckily to be part of it. I was kind of on the edges of it a bit, but being involved in the squad of it all happening, and it was so many quality players in that team. It was hard to get in the team to play the game. So yeah, it was a good experience, and we did well in it as well. So it obviously helps when the team's going well.
What was that experience like of international rugby?
It's a big step from obviously regional. It's a lot faster, a lot more physical, and it does take you a couple of games to get used to it. And when you get used to it, then you love it, and you just want more and more of it. Especially in the faster games, there's sometimes in those international games, and you're expecting your lungs to burst basically. But yeah, it's one of those you get a little taste for it, and you just want more and more when it happens.
What was representing Wales like in the Rugby World Cups in 2015 and 2019?
Yeah, special again. More probably 2019 for me, just because obviously you played a bit more. Even I was part of the 2015 team and we did well, and obviously there was a lot of pressure going into that World Cup as well, everyone's saying that we couldn't get out of the group, and that, you know, we had the big game against England and managed to turn them over. But yeah, 2019, I really enjoyed Japan as a place as well. Just the whole country, it just amazed me, how polite everyone was, how clean it all was, and just the way they respected their elders, and that side of it, I just really enjoyed it, enjoyed the food and all that side of it as well, and also the rugby. I also felt like it was, because it was quite humid, and the weather and that side of it out there, teams had to adapt their game to playing sensible rugby and playing in the right areas, because you didn't realise it on TV, but the ball was like a bar of soap sometimes, and yeah, it was just one of those World Cups that I really did enjoy, and probably played a little bit more. And even to this day, you know, you think of that South Africa game, and like, if you did that one thing different to change the result, even now, because we only lost by 3 points, it kind of, you know, winds me up a bit, I guess, when you think back at it and you watch the game back even now, and again when it comes up on TV or what have you, you just wish that something could have been a little bit different, where we could have got to that final. But you know, that's rugby for you. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't.
What was it like being named as Welsh captain?
Yeah, first obviously happened with Gats in the World Cup, and yeah, it was just a special moment, really. Just like, you just want to do what's right for the team, and when they ask you, are you sure you want me to be captain type thing, and you feel honoured, and you just don't want to let the team down more than anything, and you want to say the right things at the right time, and not over talk, I guess, and just do actions rather than being one of them who talks a bit of nonsense, really. So yeah, it was very, very honoured to lead the boys out really onto the field first, and yeah, I just feel lucky.
Have you got any favourite moments in a Welsh jersey?
Yeah, definitely one stands out again, but it's more like the build-up of how it all happened really in 2013. It comes down to the last game against England for them to win the Grand Slam, and we had to win by 20 odd points to win the Six Nations, and everyone had written us off because we lost our first game to Ireland. Gats wasn't there, Rob Howley was head coach, and yeah, everyone was like, they're never going to do it, and they're all rubbish and what have you. It was usual stuff that comes with the job. And that week of the England game, they were quite outspoken and saying how they were going to outmuscle us and bully us and beat us up on the pitch, basically. And yeah, it was good motivation for us. And on the way to the game on the bus, we had a video playing showing everything they had said in the press and written in the papers on the way to the game. And obviously coming into the stadium, the Welsh crowd obviously going mad, and we were in the middle of watching this on the bus as well, so you could imagine the boys were pretty pumped up for the game. And even going into the game, we started doing the warm-up. Normally in the warm-up, there's not much of a crowd. The crowd is absolutely full, singing all the songs that you want to hear when you're on the field. And yeah, it was one of those special games where we come out on top and actually ended up winning the Six Nations in front of the Welsh crowd against England, which is something that you dream of as a kid again.
What does it mean to play in the Guinness Six Nations?
It is, as a kid, you know, when it comes around, everything stops for it basically, and you used to organise your weekends around it, as in Wales are playing Ireland, England or whoever Saturday, you must make sure we're free for then, or we got to be watching it in the club here, having as a crowd are watching it here after a game or whatever it is. It's basically a massive part of the calendar of any rugby that goes on, and yeah, it's massive, and to be lucky enough to have played in it, and then also to have won Six Nations in it, and even Grand Slams, it's one of those that you never ever forget as a rugby player.
Who are the greatest players you've played with for Wales?
Oh, there's too many. There's too many. There's too many to name. I feel very lucky to have played with so many, and I wouldn't do justice to anyone I'd forget naming, to be fair. And if I said when I'd be kicking myself after if I've missed one out. And yeah, it's lucky enough to have played with so many in the Welsh jersey that yeah, they've made so many special memories and some special friends along the way.
How did you come to the decision to retire internationally?
It's one of them, I guess. It was picked up a few injuries, and yeah, just want to go on a bit of a high and just finish when you're not just hanging on in there and just holding on to your jersey type thing. I just wanted to go out in my own way, and yeah, it was just felt the right moment for me and my family as well. Those camps are long, and the World Cup is long, and they're grueling places you have to go to, and it was just something that I just knew was the right time to do it. There was a number of things for it, and yeah, I spoke to Gats about it and just thanked him along the way, and just appreciated everything that you know, all the times he's picked me and things. Even sometimes we fall out along the way, as you do with coaches and players. But yeah, it was just one of those decisions that I just felt was right at the time. I don't regret the decision at all, even when the World Cup's going on. It was one of them. I was just a fan again and cheering the boys on, which was lovely, to be fair. I definitely made the right decision, and I feel very privileged to have represented Wales for so long, and so many people you thank along the way. The fans have been unbelievable, and the hard graft that it took to get there, but the harder graft it takes to stay there with so much competition along the way and the players you play with. But like I say, it was the right time, and Wales are in really good hands with the players they got coming through in the back row.
Did you ever set a goal of how many caps you wanted to get?
I don't know, as a kid you just dream of having one cap and you'd be happy, and yeah, I guess when you go in you just want to play. You don't really think caps. There was once where Toby Faletau, I asked him how many caps he was on, how many caps he wanted to get to, and he said as long as he has more caps than me he'll be happy. So there was once where me and him had a bit of a thing going, but he's unreal, man, and yeah, it was just a bit of fun along the way, and he just said as long as he had more caps than me he'd be happy. So no, he's just it's good bit of fun as well.
What was your final moment representing Wales like?
Obviously at the time you didn't probably quite realise it, I guess, because you never take it for granted playing for Wales. I guess every game you go into you do think it could be your last, so you never take it for granted. And yeah, it was obviously in the Six Nations against France away, and yeah, it was just it was one of those games. Obviously France were on fire at the minute, and we were just trying to find our feet to get back into good form and things. Yeah, and it was just, you're out there, you just try to do your role for the team, and as usual when you put that jersey on you just have to wear it with pride.
Were there any players or anyone that helped you become the player or person you are today?
So many, yeah, so many. Like again, I couldn't name them, but there's so many people along the way, in good ways and bad ways, I'd say. Sometimes, especially younger in my career, a lot of people would say you can't do it, you're too slow, too fat, too small. That was the biggest one I had. I was too small to be a back rower, not physical enough, all that side of it. But then you kind of use that as a bit of motivation, and then obviously there's so many other people then that kind of use positive ways of doing it and help you improve in many other ways. Yeah, and obviously you've got your family around you, your friends, to bounce your ideas or to pick you up when you're down or when you're injured, put your socks on or help you that way as well. So yeah, it's been a lot of special people that have probably not even rugby wise, but turn you into the person that I am today, I guess.
Who do you reckon are the players that are going to take Wales forward?
Players for Wales, so many. Jack Morgan's going to be a special one. Definitely going to be on the Lions' toes and have a number of caps going forward. And again, you talk about players, but it's more about the person he is as well. He's a special person as well. When you see him and you speak to him, he's one of those guys who are just grounded and works hard on everything that he wants. And to be fair, we're quite lucky at the Ospreys. There's a number of young players coming through now, and there's going to be a few of them that are going to be pushing for Welsh caps and hopefully Lions caps in a few years. And looking forward to watching them and supporting them along the way, really. But yeah, going back to Wales, there's a number of other players out there. You watch, some of the youngsters coming through the backs. They're massive now. Young Mason Grady. When I was just around him in a few of the training sessions, you can see he's going to be special. A number of others I've probably forgotten, which I'll be kicking myself about after. But yeah, we're in good hands, and the talent is coming through.
Are there any moments you'd love to relive again?
No, I won't change anything. I always feel like things happen for a reason, whether it's good things or bad things. You just make sure if they're bad, you've got to learn off them, and if it's injuries, it's there for a reason to mentally test you and to train you to get harder. And the good things, then you've got to enjoy them in the right moment, in the right place. I don't feel like you can be one of them screaming or shouting or that side of it. You've got to be grateful for the special occasions as well.
What did it mean to represent the Lions?
Dream come true. Obviously, you watch it on TV as a kid, and you just know the best of the best kind of go on the Lions tour. And to be able to have done that was some special for me. And again, you're out there, and the players you play with and the coaches you have around you, it's a great experience as well.
What was that final test game against Australia in 2013 like? Yeah,
just happy. It was more than anything. You just want to test. You want to play in a test game. It was the only one I could imagine, which obviously you wish you could have more as a player, I guess, but things happen for a reason. And just being able to come off the bench and be part of that game where it all came down to it, it was a special part of my career, and to get on there and get stuck into them was pretty good.
Have you got any standout memories from the Lions?
Just probably more of the off-field stuff, the players that you meet, and some of the memories that you have that side of it. In such a short time, you come so close to so many other nationalities that you didn't think would happen in such a short time. Even meeting some of the players I've met on those tours has been pretty special.
Which tour was the hardest?
I'd say New Zealand tour, but also for me it was probably the best one. It's just rugby mad over there, and you'd be in a local shop and you'd hear someone just speaking to grandmothers speaking in the shop about the game, and you're just like, wow, like it was never ending when they talk about the games and the rugby over there, and I guess the quality that you're up against as well, even in the midweek games, and just the country as well. It was some great sights and some great experiences that we visited over there.
How important of a role has your family played during your career?
Yeah, massive. From my parents to the wife and kids now. Just in so many ways, it just wouldn't have happened without them, without doubt. It's just one of them things. I wouldn't have done the things in my life if it weren't for them.
How much of a challenge can it be to balance being a father, husband, and a professional athlete?
Yeah, it's probably the time you're away. I don't think people realise, like the Lions tours, the World Cups, you're away like 8-10 weeks of the year, and that's without what else goes on in the season, whether it's away with your club teams, whether it's away Six Nations or training camps. So there's a lot of time we're away, and you do miss some birthdays or some memories with the kids. And that's probably one of the main reasons why, obviously, you call time on your international career as well when I did, knowing what I was going to miss that summer with them. And it's just one of them that you hopefully now you can give back a lot more time to them now as you go on in your next career, I guess. And yeah, it's one of them. They pick you up when you're down after a bad game, or when you're injured. They're the first ones to help you put your socks on because you can't reach your toes. Yeah, and it's the same the other way. When I come home and I see their smile, you just forget about everything, and the game doesn't matter. And it's more about being a dad then from that moment on.
What would you want to do after your playing days are over?
Yeah, obviously I'd like to stay in the game and maybe try to get into coaching. I was lucky enough to have coached Trebanos for a number of years. When I first started in my career, I think I first started coaching here when I was 19, and Rodri Jones got me on board then. Started a year with youth, then Rod took me up to the first team, and yeah, we coached for a number of years there and absolutely loved it. It's a bit weird. You probably had more satisfaction when Trebanos were getting promoted than probably winning the Six Nations or something as an individual. It was just one of those special occasions when you see the team doing well. It is a special feeling, really, that you can't explain until it actually happens. But yeah, I'd like to go down that route and be involved in coaching and still be part of the game, I guess. But you never know. You never know. Could be back on the roof now, so you see what happens.
What has been your proudest moment?
There's been many things. Obviously, first, getting off playing for the Ospreys. Then you have your first Welsh Cup, your first Lions tour. Yeah, it's always been pretty special along the way, to be fair. And yeah, well, like I said earlier, I wouldn't change any of it really. It's all been pretty special.